broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey, AfterBuzzers! I'm Kimberly Crossman. I'm your lead host.
Oh, there it is.
There we go. Sam, the friend.
Oh, baby, you got what I need.
Yes. You'll see why we picked that song in an amazing minute. I'm your lead host. I'm Kimberly Crossman. This is the Kevin from Work After Show, episode 5. Joining me today, I have
Sheri Nadel. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
I'm Sam Davidson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, whatever, at SamD43.
I'm Katie Wilbert, and you can find me on all items of social media at Katie Wilbert.
Now, so because we're all overachievers here at AfterBuzz, I decided that why bring one of the cast members when you could bring 3? For the very first time, we have our amazing guests. If you guys want to introduce yourselves, please.
I'm Paige Spara. I'm Matt Murray. Where do I look?
You can look at your cameras up there, or you can talk to us, whatever you want to talk to.
To the wall.
Yeah.
I'm Matt Murray. Do I say my...
Yeah, where can people find you?
You can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at MattMurray28.
Yes.
And Facebook at just Matt Murray.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Paige Spara. You can find me I am on Instagram as just Paige Spara, and I'm also on Twitter as Paige Spara.
That's so original.
The original.
I'm Jason Rogel, and I'm also on the Twitter, Facebook, and the Instagram. Yeah. Jason Rogel. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. This is so cool. We have a bucket of questions that we wanted to get started with. So if you guys want to pick out a couple of questions and answer them to start with.
Let's do this.
It's like
And then
Halloween, like candy.
Yeah, and then we're going to get into kind of breaking down the
hand
episode.
each other?
You can just pick one out and answer it.
We're picking them out.
And just warning you, if they're really horrible questions, it was all her.
Yeah. I'll take the rest.
And if
of
they
that.
were great, they were
So hard.
Okay, so read your question out loud.
Okay, best piece of advice for someone wanting to currently pursue this career path. I would say to first of all be relentless. You know, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. You know, it's your dream. You know what I mean? It's nobody else. Nobody else is going to give you this dream. You have to take it. And times are going to get very, very rough, and you can't stop. That's it. You can't. And when you're doing this, follow your instincts. You know, I give a lot of younger actors or beginners this advice: you have to follow your instincts, because your instincts makes you different from everybody else. You know, and I can't try to copy what somebody else does, because no matter how great I think it is, because they did it the way they would do it, and there's nobody else that can. That's what makes us all different in this world.
Yeah.
And just be relentless. Don't let anybody tell you. We've all had people tell us that who we love, the most in this world, say, well, that's hard, you shouldn't do that, There's no easy. Easy is not. It's not real. It's not a path. Don't try to take shortcuts. There is no shortcuts. Shortcuts don't last. So go for what you're going for. It's your dream. The dream is put in your head for you to pursue it.
Nice.
And don't let anybody else tell you can't.
I think that deserves a round of applause.
Yes.
Preach, brother.
Nice. That's so good. Thank you. What question did you pull, Miss Paige?
I'm so sorry. I was really focusing on this because this is so
You're
hard for
supposed
me.
to.
What is
I
it?
know, but that was beautiful.
Thank you, Flower Bum.
Okay, so Flower Bum. That's
Yeah.
the new one. I like
Call it different things every time.
That's good.
Schnuckle. Flower Bum.
Boogie bums.
Okay, favorite line that you've had in season 1? I think it's in the finale, so I can't say it because it's going to give stuff away.
Okay. What about a line that someone else did? Like,
Thank you. Oh, I'm so happy you said that. Okay, because my favorite line is actually next episode,
That's okay.
and it's exchanged between Jason's character Ricky and Poonam's character Patti about being a dominatrix. I love the exchange because when I was off camera seeing this happen, and as they were saying that line, I was like, holy shit, it's Karen and Jack from Will and Grace, who are my favorite duo that has ever graced TV, and I just saw them take it to that level.
That's so cool.
That's what that exchange
So you're not going to tell us the line. Maybe what we'll do then next week, we'll try and pick out what that line is, and you can let us know.
Yes. Well, season finale.
For your line or for their line?
Ours is in this most.
Their line is next episode.
Okay, we'll get that episode 6. Jason, what's your question?
Who do you want to see hook up on the show?
Oh, what are you like?
Audrey and Ricky.
I reckon that could happen. A drunk escalation.
Like a little bathroom.
I think that could happen if we both got wasted.
Like a drunken party hookup.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I would love to film that.
Yeah.
I would love to film that.
And then Ricky and Brian.
Of course.
I thought that may have happened this episode. We'll get to that. You guys want to pick one more question, and then we'll move on to the breakdown.
Okay.
Don't put it back.
I was
See how we were on that?
Because
We like games.
Take yours.
What are
your expectations?
Oh, that's me doing typos.
Maybe that's
What were your expectations? Yep, that's what it was.
You even have a UR. Like
What
were your expectations?
And were they met when you were cast? Sorry.
What were my expectations?
I guess of like being a series regular on a primetime show on a great network.
I guess honestly, like my expectations is exactly what's happening. I expected to be with amazing people,
Nice.
Working on some great stories and having great feedback from people. I try to always look at positive things, you know what I mean? So instead of coming on and being like, oh, I hope it does great, I'm just like, no, I believe it's going to be great because we, every single one of us has earned this, position. And, we've all been through very rough times and we've all stayed positive through it. So, we appreciate where we are. So I just expected, everything to work out because I'd rather expect that. But, and even if it didn't, I wouldn't let it, hinder me or anything. I wouldn't let it hurt me. But, you expect it, for everything to work out. And, a lot of times your imagination just, tells the future for you. Mm-hmm. So everything that I was expecting, came true and then went even further.
Nice. Yay.
Oh, you listened to that one.
Yeah.
I appreciate
because now my strategy is because I get so nervous being asked questions, I'm going to do it right now so I don't have time to think about it.
Yeah. Smart.
I know. I get very nervous when I know I'm being interviewed because then I forget how to talk.
Well, this is just chatting. It's not an interview.
How did you deal with the workload? I'm still learning how to deal with the workload.
Yeah.
I think every day it changes. But what I like to do is to write my thoughts out every morning, every night, just to start over and to get all that excess out so I can be as present as I can because I think that's my thing. As long as I know that I need to stay present, I can really take on anything that day.
That's cool.
So,
I like
a good
that.
reminder.
Yeah, that's a good little token. We can all do better at that.
Doing what you do.
Katie and I tonight will be like, write your thoughts down.
And with Paige, like, it doesn't matter, like, what she's going through. Like, she'll go through a lot of stuff, but, like, in the moment that she's acting, like, it all disappears.
Nice.
And then when cut happens, she's like, oh, God, I hope I didn't mess that up. It's like, Paige, you transformed and it came right back.
That's so good.
Oh, yeah, I did do that. Thank you.
That's funny. What you got, Jason?
Let's see.
I saw you fiddling.
I was reading through all of them, but I still picked this one randomly. What makes KFW different to other sitcoms?
Oh yeah, you get that question.
I saw this one. I was hoping I would get that one. No,
where's Noah? Can we call him Noah? He's great at answering those questions.
It's kind of a fresh new take on like the rom-com. So like the social media aspects and all the little things that pop up on the screen, and it's so tech savvy. But also we're like a diverse cast, which I mean ABC and ABC Family and Disney has always been very on top of having multi-ethnic casts and diversity casts. So I mean between that and like the new hip telling of a rom-com, it's,
and I'm gonna jump in on that because it's like a hybrid of comedies too. Because each one of us tackle comedy and Barbie's writing and the writer's writing in a different way. So we don't really fall into a certain rhythm of a single camera comedy. I think it's just a plethora of comedies and personalities taking on this specific writing. So I think that's really cool. And you'll see that too. Sometimes it's not so much of the banter, but it's a lot of the looks that we give each other and how we take the after moments as opposed to, what is actually being said out loud to one another. I think that's really cool.
Have you guys noticed a difference or a change in the writing for your characters as you're reading the script, becoming more yourself?
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Audrey has so many more freak out moments because I'm a freak outer. Yeah. I have to go.
What about you, Jason?
The sweat has been written into the show. So that is authentic sweat.
That's not sprayed on. That's from his own body.
Yeah, Barbie was like, do you mind if we write that in? I was like, I give you free reign on my sweat. So
that's so fun. And I mean, that goes with what you were saying about how you just have to come in and do things how you would do it, because then you guys are creating these characters from the ground up, and part of it obviously is being influenced by who you are as a person, and that's got to feel amazing as an actor to know that like no one else could play these characters, that you're growing the way that you could, because
they all stem from you.
That's so great.
It doesn't for me it doesn't matter where what type of character it is. It's coming from you internally. You know what I mean? So for Brian, for instance, he's like me acting like a fool 100% of the time. You know what I mean? And just in his obliviousness to some things, this is like sometimes when I'm oblivious, which might be say like 10% or 15% of the time, but that's him 100% of the time. So it's just it's just tapping into that. Or if he's sloppy, when I have my sloppy moments, it's just expanding those sloppy moments.
Yeah, like playing it 210.
Right. Or if say he's an angry character, you know what I mean? It's just when you are going through these angry moments, you know what I mean? It's just like, okay, what happens to me in these angry moments, or what would I be like in this world? What would I be like in that world? You know what I mean? It all has to stem from you and just bring it out of this world or bring them from that world.
Totally.
So episode 5, you guys, we just finished watching it about like 15 minutes ago. Roommates from work. Have you had any nightmare roommates?
Oh, yes.
Like Roxy was doing?
Oh, my
like
God. I can't believe you asked that question. So I've only had
You want to call him out? We can call him out.
So I've only had one roommate in my entire life because I'm from Toronto, Canada.
I've lived there for 6 years.
Canada in the house. So when I moved to Los Angeles, I didn't know anybody. So I went on Craigslist. I know. Probably the worst thing you can ever do. And I did it. And my mom came with me, and I literally met like 25 people. And I have horror stories, really scary stories. So I ended up going with this girl who seems super cool and awesome and nice, and not even in the industry. Like, she's in real estate, and like she
seemed normal, like a normal person with a normal job.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I thought
I want to date one of those.
Yeah.
Do you want
and
it? Yeah. Damn it.
She turned out to be like a control freak. Like, it was almost maybe 9 or 10 years ago, and it was we were in Studio City, so it was 115 degrees. And I remember like putting on the air conditioning, and she would run and turn it off, and then I would go and turn it on, and then she would come and turn it off. And finally I was like, no way, it's like 115 degrees. And I went, and she had unscrewed the thermostat from the wall and took it out.
Oh, damn.
How does she even know how to do that?
Who knows, right? Because that's what crazy people do when they want to control you.
Oh my God.
And I just looked around like, you can't do that.
You're very calm.
I love that you were just like, you shouldn't do this.
Because I was like, you're the landlord and my roommate, and that's illegal.
Like, bitch, I'm hot.
Yeah.
Turn it on.
Well, I thought thought the roommate theme was such a good theme for this episode because, we could all relate to it. I thought that one of the coolest things that Roxy played on was like adult problems, talking about the bills. Sam, have you had any issues with? I heard you laugh out loud when she's like, "But it's so hard."
Hey, yes, it's so hard, you guys. No, really though, when I had roommates, I would be the one that would pay for the bills and would have to passive aggressively be like, "You owe me $60. I'm sorry," and then people would get that I felt bad, that they felt bad, and then felt that they couldn't pay me. So in a way, I felt like Kevin this episode.
Okay.
So you felt like the guy trying to control it.
I definitely felt more like Roxy. I'm just so bad at adulting right now. It's just ridiculous. Like when she was like the stack of I do that. I'll not deposit checks, and then it's just because I'm so busy and I've got things to do.
I'm rich because that would be the only reason.
I wouldn't do it if I didn't have some money in my account. Obviously, I'm not just trying to be like, let's see, how long can I go? But my family used to call me Katie I Forget because I'm just in my own world doing my own thing. And so, I had a conversation with my mom this week where she had to remind me of some things, and I was like, I should really be better at life.
There's a cool moment, I think, and one of my favorite things is Patti invites Noah to a date at a funeral this episode.
Right.
Has anyone in the room been invited to a date at a funeral?
No.
So I thought that was far-fetched, but really good for comedy. I was curious if you guys have the worst date situation that you guys have been to. If it isn't a funeral, where can we go to?
Oh, worst date.
Was there something that landed?
I went on a blind date where a girl just kept hiding her lips. What? She was literally the whole time, and I just wanted to be like, pull them out, pull them out. What are you hiding? It was so weird, and then luckily enough, I had two of my friends there as well, and
oh my God.
They weren't dating, but they were like, we'll pretend like we're going on a double date, just make sure you're good. And I ended up hurting my jaw that night, eating some very soft buffalo wings. I gotta get jaw surgery because of those soft ass buffalo wings.
Yeah, sure.
And we went to see a movie. And I'm watching the movie, and my friend looked at me. I'm so self-conscious now when I watch a movie in the theater because my friends looked at me, and I'm sitting there watching this movie, being like, "Why won't she show her lips?" But they said I was so straight. I was watching the movie like that, watching it, and then they looked over at me, and they were laughing. I saw my peripherals, and I look at them. They're like, "Why are you sitting like that?" I was like, "What you mean?" I look at her, and she's like. I'm like, shut up, goddamn lips.
That's so you never got a kiss, huh?
No. I would have had to kiss her forehead or something because.
That's so funny.
Yes.
So when we were watching this episode, after the worst date, they're at the funeral, and it's. This interesting chemistry that you guys might be able to tell us a bit more inside of Patti and Noah, because she keeps playing this we had a thing, which is quite funny, and I hope she continues it because I think it is a good connection. But we see Noah kind of break out of his Noah, and we were all on the edge of our seat hoping he was gonna do the bad boy Noah, and he didn't do it.
I know.
I'm bummed. Do we get to see it? Can you tell us? Give us a little bit. Do we get bad boy Noah?
I mean.
Look on Paige's face is yes.
Episode 8?
Because I'm so used to Noah in between those takes, which is so Noah.
So he might get aggressive.
Does he say dirty things in between the takes?
Yes.
Your face is like,
such a dirty man.
He's a
not sexual. He's just so hilarious. Okay, I see how I just set that up horribly. I'm really bad at it.
No, but that's. I guess it was exciting for us because we've seen him, and the audience is seeing everything through Noah's eyes. Whose kind of world we're seeing it through, and so we kind of got roughed up her shirt. He's like, yeah,
and we're like, yeah, he's gonna go.
That was more Noah, not as. That was more Noah than Kevin.
Interesting.
And I think in season 2 he'll probably break out a little bit more because he's being pushed to
the season 2.
I think it's just like anybody, when you start to get used to somebody new, like you start to get, comfortable, and you start being like, you know what, this really isn't going to offend you. I need to, stick up for myself. So Kevin starts to do that, throughout, because you see him how he is with Brian at times, where he's just like, stop, shut up, you know what I mean? But that's because they're best friends, So with getting familiar more with Patti or Ricky or these different characters, the more he gets comfortable with them, the more he starts to flare that collar up a little bit.
I like seeing the contrast of character.
Yeah. What was that?
I said that's a really good point, because that's exactly how it should have been answered.
That's just Noah being Noah, okay?
No, you're right. We were just all excited. In this episode, Jason, you do something that I personally am very guilty of. Katie's a lot better at it. I don't know about you guys, but the gym stalling. So
totally Ricky.
Oh, they left out so much that we wanted
so
in
much
there.
fun with that. But it's Ricky more to get information on the gossip versus working out. So but we had so much stuff like with the machines and
okay, I'm gonna tell you. I gotta tell him.
I was bummed.
Yeah. Okay. Go. So they let us improvise, and myself.
Which, can I pause, is something that is probably unique to this show in the extent of which, and I had a brief experience of it, but they're pretty free with
big time. Our writers are great because, first of all, they give us such a great story to go off and a foundation to play off of. And so we're lucky enough to not want to take anything away. You know what I mean? So we want to add on. And they recognize us as artists and people that can create, And so it's a great collaboration where they don't get offended if we do. You know what I mean? And there's a recognition where we definitely you get what's on the page, and then there's like, okay, let's see what we come up with. You know what I mean? Because within that time where you're just coming out with something off the top of your head, you never know what's gonna happen. So if gold comes out, you're gonna take it. So for the two of us, when I say,
and you two haven't had too many scenes.
No, this was our first first stuff together.
Now, mind you, not in the pilot though, we were dancing. And they cut all the dancing. Oh my God! So when he's sitting there, when he's on the table, like getting down and doing all that nasty stuff, and I jumped in there on the table as well and started jumping and getting funky and all that stuff. And then we were dancing with Amy Sedaris, like she was up on me, he was up on the jukebox, and we were doing just ridiculous stuff. So
if it was an hour-long show, that would all.
I say that all the time. Even McGee says this. He always says this should be a 40 or an hour-long show.
It'll either be in the outtakes or they'll put it in the next season. We
have so much.
And so what we did when I say get back on the treadmill, when I get off the phone, I go up to him. I was like, okay, it's good that you buy the treadmill, but let's get on the treadmill and let's turn it on and see what happens. And so he gets on the treadmill.
All these different versions of Ricky not knowing how to turn on the treadmill.
Not at all. And
so
Jason is a master. Oh, he's like, I'm like, no, it's not a clap on. Clap on.
Thumbprint, eye scan.
But he did it in like the perfect row. He's like treadmill on. I'm like, no, it's not voice acting. Treadmill on. I'm like, Ricky, it's not clap on. Clap. I can just see. And I'm like, Ricky, you have to turn it on. Thumbprint. Oh, it worked. I'm like, no, it wasn't because you hit the start button. And then it starts moving, and he's like, what do I do? I'm like, Ricky, walk, run. Ricky's like, what do I do? What do I do? And then you fall back.
It was its own 20-minute segment.
Yeah,
that's why.
That would be a great.
We gotta see that. It must have been so much fun.
Wow, that's so good.
Delete his scene.
So the kind of A storyline here is, and we pulled away in kind of episode 4 from the Kevin Audrey storyline and kind of got, which was really cool. We got to see these other relationships developing, and this episode is kind of this arc of we're like all hopeless romantics. We're like, I And because Kevin from Work hasn't, it's still got a format of like trying to lead us in. We're like, are they gonna kiss? Like, is she gonna move in right away? Like the cool thing that we don't know. So we've got this going on. I want to talk to you about kind of like the arc this episode, because we think it's gonna happen, it doesn't happen, and then it ends up being this friend zone thing. So what's your kind of take
I was so happy that there was some development with Audrey and Kevin, because I'm like obsessed with, like, I want something to happen.
Sheri would like this.
So first of all, I was really happy that you chose to move in with him, because I think he got really happy about that.
Move in with Brock?
No, you moved in with Kevin because you were mad at Brock.
Staying.
Yeah. So I feel like I was so happy you guys like had these moments together. You watched movies together. I think there's some bonding. What I didn't like is how you left him like that. I mean, you had fresh pasta there.
She goes, "Where's the pasta?"
Like she's just like out.
I put it in Tupperware and it's in the fridge.
So I guess I was happy that there was some like interaction there, and like I think it's going to be touched back on. I'm sure in the next episode or two.
Full throttle until the throttle until the finale. I went.
Yeah, no, you do.
You said
keep teasing, but yeah.
Oh, in regards to. Oh, so bad.
Our mind's really dirty.
You can give us spoilers.
We're on a whole other story right now.
Yeah, we're thinking of something completely different, maybe.
You're talking about Kevin from Work?
Oh my God! Yes, I'm talking about Kevin from Work. I'm talking about Kevin and I, our story, as opposed to our romance.
Right.
We know what full throttle means.
What is
Sam is still like, Doctor, what is wrong with me tonight? I'm so sorry. I'm like
nasty.
What did you think, Sam, of that arc? So kind of like the tease to then the friend zone.
I really hope that you did leave the pasta in Tupperware, because I thought that would be so rude to tease it and then just leave.
It'd be horrible.
Yeah. I think that, Audrey, you as a character, really deep down, I thought for a minute you wanted to be with Kevin and realized it, but now it seems like you've buried it deep down and are trying to see him as like a brother or something unnatural, and it's like not registering with him quite yet. And I want to like see, Audrey's lust for him kind of. Again, I'm so sorry. Again,
lust for him.
If I were a dog,
ABC Family.
What about you, Katie?
I feel like there were so many moments that with Audrey in this episode that I'm like, I feel like I've done this. Like, not that I've ever sort of started staying at a guy friend's house, making them pasta and wine, and then like left a note being like, you're such a good friend. But I have done the like, you're such a good friend thing, and then caught myself doing it and being like, oh my God, I'm an asshole. Like, take yourself away. Go be a better person, Katie. But yeah, I was glad to see that they'd come back into this storyline. And all of us, as we were watching, when it was like, when Audrey showed up at the door in the middle of the night, we were all like, ooh. So, it was fun for all of us to watch. And I think that I keep using this as the way of explaining this, but I feel like the writers are dangling the carrot the right way.
Yes.
Could you give us a bit of insight, maybe, Paige, just to, in this episode specifically, because I wrote friend zone in my notes really early on. So, which was cool. Like, I think I must have picked up that in your performance of being like where your character was at. But I mean, obviously, Audrey knows that Kevin has feelings for her. She knows she's in a relationship. So maybe can you justify it from Audrey's perspective of why you would go to Kevin's place?
Because okay. I think I can justify it in the sense of I feel safe with Kevin.
Sure.
I feel like if anyone's going to answer their door at that time of night, it's going to be Kevin. But also, I think there's a part of Audrey, and I'm guilty of this too. Of she wants to be with Kevin. She wants to be in his presence. She wants to talk and connect to him, and I think that's just where she's at. And also because there's that thing that she deep down knows that he gets her completely. And she knows he's probably the one person in her life that fully sees her how she's always been wanting to be looked at, And I feel like that's comforting to her because I think she's slowly unraveling and she's slowly being challenged by a lot in her life, and I think that's unsettling to her. So I think she's just, I don't think she thinks before she acts necessarily. So I think she finds herself in these situations because that's what feels right to her in the moment, and then after it happens, she's forced
So
to.
she's being present? Is that what?
I think she just full circle.
We did that.
I am very similar to Audrey.
Yeah? You got people in the friend zone?
Oh, yeah.
Is there any on-set romance?
Love it.
Oh, God, no.
Like they would tell us.
You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to screw the crew either. Isn't that?
Yeah, no screwing on Kevin from
No,
Wilbert and Sam.
we-
Oh, I love how he's like,
He's like, I know something.
It's a song? No.
I was like, wait, what do you know?
No. Everything.
I know.
I'm like Ricky in that sense.
Like, Jason is so sly and sneaky like Ricky, and it scares the shit out of me. Yes, you
What are you talking about?
Always. He's always wingmanning me. It was a joke where I'm like, wingman me, like, take pictures,
Like,
do
what are you
this.
talking about?
And then all of a sudden, Jason really would. I would be on set, and he'll like show me the videos he's taken of.
You should be like, take pictures of me when I'm shooting, and then after a while, I finally would just do it.
Wingman me,
Right.
photograph style.
Right.
That's not a wingman. Wingman is when you're trying to hook up with somebody and it's like, hey.
And you're like, yeah.
You guys,
It's
I have
not
so many
winging.
things to say with your wingman stuff, but I'm not going to. I just
I think
So
we're
that was
doing it
dumb.
What is so? One thing I really liked in this episode, because we got to wrap up in a second, is the fantasy stuff. Like I feel like there was a lot of like fantasy sequences, and it's something we see more of. Are they so much fun to film? Like,
They're
talk us
so
about.
much fun to film.
Especially in episode 9. Oh
Okay.
my gosh! So we shot. That was
that's right.
the.
What fantasy?
Oh my god! I can't say it. I'm not allowed to say
There's
it.
a lot more.
What was the last? Remember, Noah and I were sitting there. We're like, man, this is sweet. They like painted the floors. Yeah, there you go. Don't say it.
It is
So,
present.
in episode 9,
She remembered.
we just finished. We shot episode 10
It's done
before
so
9.
artfully.
And episode 9, the fantasy in that, it was absolutely amazing.
Sam's
Bars in the
gonna
bathroom.
get all the fantasy in that. She's all,
Tell me more.
Are you looking at like a beach scene or something? Like,
No, you little freak nasties. It's not like that.
Yeah, I didn't say that one, Sheri.
And she like, no, but you said you thought it.
It's just a really cool way to
It's
like
an
kind of
amazing
heighten our
fantasy.
storytelling for
That's
the
so
show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for a 22-minute show, it really helps.
do you like
It's
all the
like-
little Twitter,
I
little
love all
birdies
the
and the
animations.
deer? Or is there a deer or a rabbit? Or, I
There
don't
was
know.
a skunk that
There
came
was a
out.
skunk on the
Oh,
lawn
I
tree.
died laughing when I saw
Noah
that.
and I
Little
have so
gallop
much fun
just out
filming
of
those
the
takes because we
clothes.
they actually roll while we're just laughing at each other and through that. So especially during the fantasies that you saw in this episode where it's like I'm literally like laughing at the priest marrying us and like I should not be laughing, but no one makes we have so much fun filming those.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So I did an original tweet on my Twitter page, which is my ears, which is actually it's like a behind the scenes footage of Noah like grabbing the remote for the fantasy
we'll
scene
have
where
to
like the
grab it.
bird like drops the remote in his hands because there's this guy with like a fishing pole being like, oh okay, like steady, and we're like, how is this? It's not steady. Like, and it was kind of really cool because
that
it's
how they
so
do
funny.
it?
Yeah, that's exactly how they do it. I'm thinking it's gonna be just like this mechanical thing happening. No, it's like a legit fishing pole that they're like.
So
the
funny.
magic.
There's a horse. There's a
television.
horse in the next episode,
Oh.
and that it is in that fantasy.
We
There's a
filmed
horse in
that
that one.
at Griffith
Horse.
Park.
That could sound really
so
good or
beautiful.
bad.
That's so cool.
It's
good.
not sexual.
I didn't say that.
This is going a very different
So we
way.
have to wrap up in a couple minutes, but the next thing that we do is predictions. So we're just going to quickly predict what we
Dang.
think is going to happen in episode 6. Some writing effects
Sound
here.
effects.
That made me so excited for Halloween.
I was like, I think my headphones messed up. What is that?
Katie, what's an episode 6? Maybe a prediction for one of these guys' characters, perhaps.
Oh, snap. I predict... I'm so bad at these. Just anything, Katie. Anything. I think that...
The pressure's on since we're here, huh?
I would prefer.
Do you want me to hop on first?
Anyone else to go.
All right, I'll hop on that horse first. Okay, so I predict that Brian and Roxy, their characters are very similar, and as the episodes progress, we're kind of learning that they're very similar. So I think something might happen there. I think that Audrey is definitely going to have an epiphany. She's like, I love Kevin, and then birds are gonna fly. And I think Ricky, we're gonna see I really want to see a sex scene with the boss. Ooh. We kind of saw
there was supposed to be more in that second episode.
There really was a lot more. I was so sad when they didn't show what they did in that office.
22 minutes.
The fact that they picked that song too during that sex scene,
so horny.
I was like, yes. That's exactly what was playing in my head when we were filming
The things this man was doing, I'm gonna tell you real quick.
Sure.
He was taking things like a pillow. He took this long, slender pillow, and he was looking at her. He's like, he grabbed the pillow and put it up. And then I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And then he took a disco ball and he's like, no, okay. And she's like, get over here, Ricky. He's like, okay.
I remember these.
I remember that.
He blacks out. He blacks out and turns sexual.
What about you, Sheri? What are your predictions?
Well, how do I pick up from that? No, so I think you two guys are gonna have a bromance. Yeah, and it's gonna be like girl talk, boy talk, gossip. I think it's gonna go deep. You guys might even start hanging out. I don't know.
Nice.
I didn't say that.
I'm gonna go with the Roxy Brian thing because I saw that from the beginning. Something happened there. I think there's something in the letters. I feel like there was a letter at the beginning. You've given him another letter, so I feel like that might be this ongoing theme of letters that people have. Katie, what do you got?
Well, I was just thinking what I really want to see is Brian and Audrey have one of those moments that I feel like in romantic comedies, I just saw.
You mean Kevin or
no? Brian and Audrey. I want them to have some scenes together.
Like the best friend.
The best friend who's kind of being what are your intentions? You break his heart, I'll break your neck. I want some of those moments, or some moments where they are forced into a situation where they have to work together, whatever. One of those to where you get some intel. I don't know.
I like it.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
And we kind of do that, but with different characters.
Interesting. That you said that.
I'm just saying.
It's a coming.
Oh my gosh. Hey, you guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So thankful that you will join us again. We love having you here. That's all we have time for. I'm Kimberly Crossman, your lead host. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We've got the amazing Sheri, Sam, Katie, Jason, Paige, and Matt, and we'll see you guys next week for episode 6. So see you later, guys. Thank you. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.